basement of La Penta, it's WICR.
Hello, Iona College. Welcome back to the WICR Morning Show. I'm your host with the most, Jersey Joe, here with the main man, Ian Sachs. Ian, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, the weekend in sports was absolutely phenomenal. And Joe, do we need to talk about anything else today?
Well, you know, Ian, I'm kind of glad right now that we're just kind of here at the forefront because it's a sports morning show. Let's just not even fool around with anything else. What a weekend. I mean, from Friday with the baseball games, Saturday by far the best weekend in college football, and then Sunday just an unbelievable day. It was one of the best sports weekends in recent memory.
You know, I think when October hits for college football, that's when you really start to see some crazy games.
Absolutely.
And, well, that proved to be the case. The first weekend in October, absolutely phenomenal.
I mean, this is we're getting into, like, my favorite time of the year because there's a stretch in, like, October to November where you have NHL, MLB, NBA, NFL. They all kind of intersect for a couple weeks at that point, and you just can't get much better than that. You really can't.
That's a really good point. Plus, you throw on top of that college football.
Oh, of course. Cannot forget about college football. So, Ian, you and I, we've already established it's on the table. This is a sports morning show. What do you want to start off with first? We could go anywhere. We could go baseball first. We could go football first. We could go college football first. You're the man. You're the guest, so I'm leaving it up to you.
You know what? Let's do baseball.
Baseball,
all
right.
They're in the playoffs right now. That's got to be the big story.
It is. Now, then let's start off. Last night, obviously, you had it very interesting. The Kansas City Royals and the Baltimore Orioles both completing sweeps against the Detroit Tigers and the LA Angels. And, Ian, I'm going to start this with you. Did you have Orioles, Royals, and the ALCS?
Absolutely.
There you go.
No. I actually had, thanks for bringing this up, Joe.
But, everybody.
Yeah, I actually had Angels Tigers, so my picks are looking pretty good there. I did have the Royals winning the wild card game.
There you go.
So, I mean, I was on them a little bit. Just a great job by both teams. Really taking it to the more, I would say, the more established franchises.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look. I've been on the Orioles all year. I've kind of liked them, and the one thing I kind of was worried about them was I thought they'd get past Detroit, but I don't know if they have enough to get. But now Kansas City, they definitely do. It's hard. I mean, when you have Price, Verlander, and then Scherzer, that's tough to beat. There's not a lot of teams who can put that out there, and for Baltimore to go and do what they did, I mean, that's just really impressive.
Yeah, it seemed like the Tigers were built for the postseason.
It does.
Verlander, Scherzer, Price, and the hitting of Cabrera, and it just seemed like they have the right mix of pitching and hitting and fielding, and that's why look. I know the Orioles were good. I definitely knew that. I wasn't sleeping on the Orioles. My pick there for the Tigers was more a reflection of I think that the Tigers are so good, and they have the postseason experience that, the Orioles were there 2 years ago, but the Tigers have been there every year the last, 4 or 5 years. So that's why I'm surprised and impressed with the way that the Orioles just took it to Detroit.
Absolutely, and here's the amazing thing about it. Who would have thought that the Orioles, without some of their biggest names, I mean, you're missing their catcher, Matt Wieters, you're missing Manny Machado, one of the best players on their team, and you don't have Chris Davis for the series. That is three of the hearts of that lineup right there, who you're missing and you beat Detroit with. So that alone should have made you hesitant to take Baltimore. But the one thing that I've been adamant about and I was worried about, you saw it last year, what was the crux of the Tigers? Bullpen. They could not secure and lock down games. I mean, the bullpen wasn't as bad this year, but last year was atrocious. I mean, you just had no arms. And now this year, the same thing happened. Look at Jabba Chamberlain. What was his ERA? Like 108 point something? It was horrible. And look, you need to have a bullpen. You really do.
Yeah, that's when you get more into the postseason and your starters start wearing down after pitching on 3 days rest and everything. And it's in baseball. It's those little things that's one of the things that I definitely overlooked with the Tigers. I was looking at all the big names that they have, their pitching rotation, their hitters, and it's the little things that add up that win the games. And absolutely right, Joe, that the bullpen is definitely one of the most underrated parts of the baseball game, but really one of the most important, because if you could take that pressure off of your starters, where you hand it over in the 6th, 7th inning, and that the bullpen's going to shut it down, then you're fine. But if you don't have that, then you start questioning, do I extend my starter? And it just backfires.
Now, Ian, you picked the San Francisco Giants to win it all, and I'm going to tell you right now, I think we're destined for an orange and black World Series. I think we're looking maybe at Orioles, Giants, and the thing I really like about both these teams right now is, like we're talking about, bullpen. The Giants, when they won Game 2 against Washington, Jordan Zimmerman pitched a gem. To lose that game the way they did, that was just horrible. But when that game got turned over and it went as many innings as it did, the Giants had the edge there because they could have bullpen. They had such a good bullpen. Same with the Orioles. The Orioles, they don't have as good starting pitching as the Giants and a lot of the other teams. But when you turn the ball over to the bullpen for the Orioles, I feel very confident in their ability to lock down the win. So Giants, Orioles, I don't know. Right now, I think that's where I feel like we're going. But Ian, what do you think?
I could definitely see that happening, Joe, without a doubt. Well, I've been on the Giants all year. I know from the beginning of the year, I had them winning the World Series.
Yep.
So definitely, I'm not surprised that they made it into the postseason and have been performing so well there. And, as you said, the thing with the game 2 against the Nationals, against Zimmerman, that's another aspect of baseball that you don't think about, that with these teams being so closely matched, of course, there's always a threat that you could get a 15-inning game or something like that, and you're not going to have your starter throw 11 innings, 12 innings, so even if you have your starter go the whole first 9 innings of the game, say you have a 15-inning game, you still need 6 innings out of your bullpen there. And if you have a good bullpen, then you're set there, and then that any run you produce could be the game winner. Whereas if your bullpen isn't as strong, then any runs you score might be more to keep up with the other team than to look to get ahead.
Definitely a good point, and I want to kind of segue into the next thing now. Ian, we've established on the Sports Vault, on the morning show, how big of a Clayton Kershaw fan I am. Now, the Dodgers are currently tied 1-1. They play their next game tonight. Hyun-Jin Ryu is on the mound against John Lackey. But Clayton Kershaw has gotten a lot of criticism, especially this weekend after his performance on Friday. Clayton Kershaw's record in the postseason is not very good. I believe it's 1-4. I don't know the ERA off the top of my head, but it's nothing special. And so a lot of people are kind of knocking Clayton Kershaw for that. You can't really put him up on that pedestal until he shows that performance in the postseason. And to be honest, he just hasn't shown that yet. So is this criticism of Clayton Kershaw fair, or are we just overblowing it right now?
Joe, I think you can start to have a little doubt that Kershaw might not be able to perform on the biggest stage, but after only 5 decisions, I don't know if you can say...
Not a lot of this. That's a good point. Not a lot of performances.
I don't know if you could say Kershaw never delivers in the postseason. I think once you get maybe 10 decisions, now I know that that's a lot.
Yeah.
For a postseason, I know that that's a lot. But if you're talking about someone who's there, who's going to be there repeatedly over the course of his career, 10 decisions isn't that much to ask for. Kershaw's already halfway there.
Yeah.
He already has 5 decisions. Let's say he turns it around, wins the next 5, 6-4 in the postseason. That's good. I'll take that.
Yeah.
So I think you can start to maybe hear some whispers, but I don't think you could say Kershaw never delivers on the big stage.
I think that's a fair point. I mean, in that game, he gave up that home run in the first inning, and then after that, he was very solid for a while, and then he just really had that one bad inning there. So I think that's a good point. I definitely agree with that. I mean, it's definitely something that I'm paying attention to, and it's something that I'm not going to dismiss. But Clayton Kershaw, I know we'll see, because this is a huge game tonight. I mean, I thought if the Dodgers were going to win this series, they would have to win the game one with Clayton Kershaw on the mound. And, I mean, they almost had that game secured, but they just couldn't lock it down. And just losing that game the way they did was really tough for them. So it's hard to see them come back. I just don't know what you're going to get out of Ryu tonight. I mean, I like him on the mound. Lackey's had a lot of success in the postseason, but I just don't know how you can really depend on Ryu, especially with everything that's happened. So, I don't know. Who do you have tonight?
I've got the Cardinals. I have the Cardinals winning this series, and a lot of times the winner of Game 3 in a 1-1 series, best out of 5, takes the series. I mean, I don't have the number,
yeah,
but it's a huge advantage to move one win away from advancing and put the other team in a 2-win hole where they have to win 2 in a row. So I think, I have the Cardinals winning the series. I like Lackey. I think he's gonna come out, have a good game tonight, and you don't know what you're gonna get from Ryu, as you said. But I think another thing, going back to Kershaw for a minute, another thing you have to take into consideration is with Kershaw being the Dodgers' ace, he's most of the time going up against the other team's ace. And let's say Kershaw has one bad pitch, right? Yep. Gives up a home run. Solo home run, so 1 run. Let's say the other pitcher, who could very well be, someone like a Wainwright.
Yeah, we just saw.
Right, exactly. Has who it's not unfathomable for them to have an outstanding game. Let's say he has an outstanding game, throws like a 2-hitter or something, which could happen. Then Kershaw takes the loss there when he has one bad pitch.
Yeah. And that's the thing. A lot of times during the regular season, Kershaw didn't get a lot of run support. I mean, we all know how well he did in the regular season too, but I mean, in the postseason, it's definitely been a little bit different. I mean, and the weird thing was, I mean, the Dodgers lineup, they hit pretty well. They hit Wainwright pretty hard in that game yesterday. The one bad I'm worried about is Yasiel Puig. I mean, it's amazing. From after the All-Star break, the series they played against the Giants, Yasiel Puig was just unbelievable. I think he had like 3 triples in that game. Since that time, Yasiel Puig has just been on a gradual decline. I mean, he has just really fallen apart. And I mean, if it wasn't for Matt Kemp really helping out, being the rock in that lineup right now, the Dodgers would be in trouble, because Yasiel Puig has really been nowhere to be found. And I think that's another reason why right now the Dodgers are in big trouble.
Yeah, Kemp definitely saved the team's offense in the second half of the season, without a doubt there, Joe. But I think, I kind of feel like we saw the same thing last year in the ALCS against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
With Puig. It seems like Puig is all fun and games and can, excel during the regular season, but then when it comes to actual serious baseball, he shies away from the spotlight a little bit. And maybe it's just that with it being, for all the marbles now in the postseason, Puig doesn't feel like he can play as loosely and freely as he does in the regular season. Maybe that's it, but it just seems like Puig is not himself in the postseason.
I think that's fair. I mean, I thought last year a lot of it was, first time here, still a young kid. I mean, he's going to get the jitters out. But this year, I mean, I've been more disappointed in Puig's second half on than almost anyone in baseball, because, I mean, you look at his first half, he was in the MVP discussion. But since that time, he's just, has anybody fallen off more? And it's disappointing to see, because I really enjoy watching the kid play. I like his energy. The one thing I'll say, I mean, I think last year he was a knucklehead. He was. I mean, he had showing up to meetings late. He was a distraction. I thought he really did a better job this year at becoming less of a distraction. But right now, just his play is just not good. It's just not.
Yeah, I mean, at least you can kind of be, if you're a Dodgers fan, you can kind of be thankful for the fact that Puig isn't having those off the field distractions that he did last year. So, in a sense, you can kind of say, all right, this year, is a little better. It's just Puig's on the field performance that the media is talking about. But I think you're right. The way that we looked at his performance last year and said, first time in the postseason, he'll get used to it. It's fine. But I think you really have to start wondering, does Puig have enough to be a clutch postseason performer? But then you also have to look at it. Puig could turn it on and have like one crazy play and then go on a tear.
That's the amazing thing about the postseason. I mean, you get that one hit, you get out of that funk, you're back in business. Now, before we end this segment and we go on to football, so much to get to there, I just want to ask, if the Dodgers lose this series, what do you think the Dodgers do front office-wise? I mean, does Ned Colletti have to start worrying a little bit? Does Don Mattingly start worrying a little bit? I mean, there's no question they have all the talent in the world. There's still a lot of holes. I mean, the bullpen, there's some holes. The rotation after the 3 spot, you got some question marks. But, I mean, is somebody going to need to be accountable for all the talent on this team and the lack of results?
I think you give them one more
shot.
One more go around. I think maybe you try to tweak a few things.
That's all, tweaks.
As you said, maybe add an arm in the bullpen. Maybe get a good number 3 starter. Something like that, just to give this team another look, another piece to the puzzle. And I think, let's say you do that this offseason or early part of next year before the trade deadline, and then you see how this team performs after that. You give it the one other piece, and then you say if they don't make the postseason next year, then I think some front office people have to be a little nervous about their jobs. If they make it to the postseason and don't win the pennant, then I think also you might start to wonder that maybe this team is still underachieving a little bit.
Agreed. I agree. I think it's going to be a tweak thing. I think maybe you add some people, but we don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully tonight the Dodgers will turn it around. I don't know what's going to happen, though. I'm a little worried about the game tonight, but it should be a lot of fun to watch. But thank you for tuning into the first segment of the WICR Morning Show. A lot of time on baseball, a lot of good stuff. When we come back, college football, NFL football, maybe European football. I'm just kidding on that one. It's American, college, and pro. We will be right back, though, and talking a ton of football.
Then she says she wants to make up.